When a name you've welcomed into your kitchen every single morning for over 2 decades suddenly vanishes, your mind goes straight to the worst. You start picturing some secret health emergency, a quietly devastating personal loss, or a career falling apart behind closed doors. But when you actually look at where Kelly Ripa is right now, there is no tragic ending unfolding here. What's really going on is a lot more human, a story about running out of steam, hitting physical limits, and finally facing a long overdue reckoning with herself. Did something terrible happen? Where is Kelly Ripa? Viewers tuned in to see her empty chair sat right next to her husband and permanent co-host, Mark Consuelos. But instead of Kelly, there was a rotating lineup of guest hosts filling in, while Mark broke the news that sounded almost absurd for a woman who has made her entire living by talking for 25 years straight. Kelly was under strict, non-negotiable doctor's orders not to speak a single word. The heartbreak? She had just undergone a deeply painful, highly invasive gum graft surgery. This wasn't some sudden emergency that came out of nowhere. Her dentist had actually warned her 5 full years prior that she desperately needed the procedure to repair severe bone and tissue recession. For half a decade, Kelly did what she always does. She laughed off the medical advice, brushed aside the pain. But time finally caught up, and her body ended up forcing her to sit down and pay the bill. The procedure required taking tissue from the roof of her mouth to stitch over her receding gums, leaving her completely unable to talk, banned from using straws, restricted to liquid foods, and facing a recovery so miserable that even her legendary pain tolerance was totally shattered. Putting her career on pause for 3 weeks just to let a surgical wound heal was a moment of complete surrender for someone who has built her entire life around never stopping. This temporary silence was a rare crack in the armor of one of the most intense work ethics in modern media history. For a quarter of a century, Kelly built her entire reputation on absolute, uncompromising reliability. She was a woman who never called in sick, who showed up through blinding migraines, intense personal grief, high-stakes contract disputes, and exhausting production schedules without missing a single broadcast. In her memoir, she admitted to a lifelong habit of completely ignoring her own physical and mental needs just to keep the production running smoothly. When someone who has been that constant, unwavering fixture in your life suddenly drops off the radar to deal with a quiet health crisis, the reaction is almost never rational. People naturally mistake a woman taking long overdue medical leave to heal for a woman whose life is crumbling. As her mouth heals and her return to the morning desk approaches, it becomes obvious that this medical leave isn't a tragic finale at all. Instead, it is the very first visible sign of a woman who is finally learning how to slow down, set physical boundaries, and give herself permission to rest after decades of pushing past her limits. Her health scare is only one piece of the puzzle, because at 55, Kelly isn't just dealing with a body that is demanding a break. She is also sitting right in the middle of a massive, quiet restructuring of her personal life behind the scenes. So, if she isn't facing a tragic downfall, why does her life feel like it's in the middle of a massive pivot? Let's step away from the television studio first and look at the quiet shifts happening inside her home. For over a decade, her entire existence revolved around a sprawling, 5-story Upper East Side townhouse in Manhattan. She and Mark Consuelos bought the property back in 2013, transforming it into an Art Deco masterwork with enough space to raise 3 loud, energetic kids. For years, that townhouse was the chaotic center of the Ripa Consuelos universe, a sanctuary where family dinners provided a grounding counterweight to the intense glare of Hollywood fame. When they first moved in, Kelly openly joked that they would have to carry her out of that house feet first because she loved every single inch of it. But homes carry memories, and they also hold onto echoes. As the years quietly ticked by, the noise inside those 5 floors began to fade away. One by one, their 3 children grew up, packed their bags, and stepped out into the world on their own terms. Michael pursued film and writing. Lola relocated across the Atlantic to build a music career in London, and Joaquin headed off to college. Suddenly, 2 people who spent 25 years managing a bustling, high-traffic household found themselves standing in an empty 8,000-square-foot museum. Walking through 5 stories of empty bedrooms and silent hallways has a way of forcing a couple to confront the passage of time. It turns out that an empty nest isn't just an emotional milestone. It is a physical reality that changes how you interact with your surroundings. Kelly admitted that life after the kids left was scary, thrilling, liberating, shocking, and quiet. This realization prompted a massive pivot. Rather than holding onto a towering estate built for a party of 5, Kelly and Mark began quietly reevaluating what they actually wanted their day-to-day life to look like in this brand new era. For parents who poured their entire adult lives into building a safe haven for their kids, letting go of the family home represents a profound psychological shift. It is a physical acknowledgement that the active parenting chapter of their lives has concluded, opening up space for something completely different. At 55, Kelly is rediscovering what it feels like to live in a house designed solely for 2 adults who happen to be deeply in love and working together every day. Moving on isn't a tragic loss. It is an intentional, liberating step toward total personal freedom. Yet, watching their grown children forge their own paths under the blinding spotlight is another challenge entirely. For Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos, raising 3 kids while navigating multi-million-dollar careers was never going to look like standard suburban parenting. Yet, despite growing up with movie star parents, Michael, Lola, and Joaquin Consuelos have emerged as remarkably grounded, independent adults. The secret behind their quiet resilience comes down to a strict parenting philosophy Kelly and Mark established from day one. There were no free rides, no effortless handouts. Kelly famously mandated that once her kids turned 18 and went off to college, the financial tap turned off for luxury extras. That tough love framework was designed to shield them from the nepotism baby trap that swallows up so many celebrity offspring. Now, as adults, all 3 are making their mark on their own terms. Michael graduated from NYU with a degree in film and writing, spending years paying his dues behind the camera. Lola, their fiercely independent middle child, moved to London to carve out an identity as a singer-songwriter, releasing her own soulful tracks. Perhaps the most emotional journey belongs to their youngest, Joaquin. Diagnosed with severe dyslexia and dysgraphia, learning differences so profound that Mark once broke down in tears, fearing his son might never read well enough to attend college, Joaquin proved everyone wrong. He earned his way into the University of Michigan, competed as a Division I wrestler, and earned his degree in theater. Seeing all 3 children established in their adult lives gives Kelly profound accomplishment. She raised self-sufficient human beings who actually like their parents. To understand the sheer longevity of Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos, you have to rewind to 1995. Kelly was already an established star on All My Children. Producers brought in a completely unknown actor sleeping on a friend's couch, Mark Consuelos. Before he even walked through the door, Kelly saw his headshot and felt an overwhelming gut feeling that this stranger was destined to be her entire future. The chemistry was so instant that the show's writers barely had to invent romantic tension. Just a year into dating, they got married at a cheap Las Vegas chapel on May 1, 1996, spending less than $200. Industry insiders laughed, assuming it would last 6 months. 3 decades, 3 children, and several multi-million-dollar contracts later, they remain one of the most unbreakable partnerships in show business. Working together on Live with Kelly and Mark could have been a recipe for disaster. Spending 24 hours a day together exposes every flaw. Yet their secret weapon has always been effortless, unfiltered banter built on decades of genuine friendship. Beyond their morning show, their creative partnership flourishes through Melojo Productions, the company they built together. Their enduring marriage is the quiet anchor that makes everything else possible. For a quarter of a century, Kelly has been the undisputed anchor of one of the longest-running franchises on American television. It all began in 2000, when Kathy Lee Gifford stepped down alongside Regis Philbin. The network launched an exhaustive search for her replacement. When Kelly walked into the audition room, her razor-sharp wit and total lack of intimidation blew everyone away. In early 2001, she was officially named permanent co-host. over the next decade with Regis. Their chemistry turned the show into a ratings powerhouse. When Regis retired in 2011, Kelly carried the broadcast entirely on her shoulders. In 2012, Michael Strahan joined. But in 2016, corporate politics triggered a scandal when executives arranged for Strahan to leave without telling Kelly. Blindsided, she walked off set, refusing to air for several days. When she returned, she delivered a memorable speech about workplace respect, transforming her image from cheerful host to formidable executive. Ryan Seacrest joined in 2017, and when he stepped down in 2023, the network made an unprecedented move, bringing in Mark as permanent co-host. The show remains at the top of daytime ratings. Behind that camera-ready exterior lies a hidden toll. In her memoir Live Wire, Kelly revealed years of debilitating anxiety and panic attacks that would strike as the live broadcast countdown began. She felt relentless pressure to keep her performance flawless in a male-dominated industry where aging women are routinely marginalized. That desperate drive for perfection led her to delay her oral surgery for 5 full years. Her recent medical leave wasn't just a pause for healing. It was an involuntary surrender to the reality that no one can outrun physical limits forever. Even with the health scare, there is no tragedy here. Just this year, she and Mark hosted the International Emmy Awards. They won the 2025 Daytime Emmy for Outstanding Daytime Talk Series. Kelly earns $22 million annually with a net worth of $120 million. She has won 8 Daytime Emmys and was named a Time Person of the Year in 2024. When she returns to launch the show's 39th season, it won't be a comeback from disaster. It will simply be the next confident step for a woman who spent 25 years mastering her craft and is now living entirely on her own terms. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more untold Hollywood stories. Thanks for watching.